All right, for today's math, we are going to be working on the Unit 8 Quick Quiz 1. We're going to be doing that part together, and then you're going to be doing a review on Think Central. So go ahead and find your math workbook and turn to page 335. I'll give you just a little bit of time to get there. While you get there, you can also find these three colors, any blue, any green, any red. Try to find those three colors and turn to page 335. Do not rip it out of your workbook. Go ahead and leave it in there. I ripped mine out just because it's easier to use with the camera. So leave your 335 in your workbook. Find these three colors. And then when you get there, go ahead and put your name and number and the date that we're working on this. You should be working on this on Friday, March 20th. At home. So go ahead and just get your name on it, your number, the date, and make sure you're on page 335 and that you have these three colors. All right, you can pause the video if you need some time to get those things, but I'm going to move ahead. On number 1, the directions say, use a formula to write an equation and calculate the volume of the figure. So they're wanting us to use the formula we know for volume and to write the equation and calculate. So we have three things we have to be thinking about on this one. First one is, what is the formula? So I want you to say this saying with me. Volume, that's what we're looking for. Volume is nice, it doesn't bite. Just do length times width times height. So we're going to make these three colors our length, width, and height. We'll do our length in red, our width in green, and our height in blue. So let's go ahead at the very top of this paper and write volume equals, let's use these crayons, try to do that cursive L, length times width times height. So number 1 looks pretty easy, but number 2, that is a composite solid that we talked about yesterday. So let's go to number 1 though and do a pretty simple one together first. So we're looking for the length. On number 1, go ahead and outline which of these numbers you believe is the length. Remember, the length is how long the shape is from left to right. So look at all those numbers and see if you underline the same thing that I do. Go ahead and try underlining yours and see if it's the same one that I do in just a second. Again, we're looking for the length in red. The length of this shape is 9 feet because it is going from left to right. So what we do is they want us to write the formula. So the formula is V equals 9 feet, because that's what the length is. We're going to multiply that by whatever the width is. Go ahead and try to find your width. Remember, the width is how wide it is from front to back. So this number doesn't tell us how wide it is, but this one does, the 8. So on this situation in the formula, the width is 8 feet. And then you can multiply that by the height in blue. And the height of our shape is this last number, or how tall it is from bottom to top. The height is 7 feet. So there I have the formula with an equation, and now I need to calculate it to find the volume. So I'm trying to find what the volume is. 9 times 8 times 7. I can do this a lot of different ways, but I'm just going to do 72 times 7. Please just do the work right here where it can be seen. 72 times 7. Once you do the work, check it to make sure you got the same that I did. The answer is 504, and we have to give it a label. Its volume, I use 3 dimensions, and they're feet. So it's feet cubed. That is my final answer, so go ahead and circle that. All right, we're going to move on. Number 2 is way more complicated. It's that composite solid that we talked about yesterday. You can see that there's going to be 2 different shapes. Why don't we use our pencil to go ahead and cut this shape with our magical math pencil knife that direction. So just do a straight line going down, do a straight line going down, and you'll get 2 different composite solids. So let's go ahead and work with the one on the left. In this situation, we're just going to use 2 colors Well, that might be a little bit confusing. So let's, instead of using colors on this right now, let's do stripes and polka dots. So why don't you give this one that's laying down stripes. So just kind of go like this. And then let's give this other one polka dots. So we're kind of looking at two different shapes. Okay? So for this one, don't worry too much right now about the formula or the equation. Let's just figure out what the volume is. So let's go ahead and look at the striped shape that we have right now. The striped shape, we're looking for a length. How long is it from left to right? Is that length 16? The answer is no, because that would be 16 from here all the way through the polka dot shape. And I'm trying to ignore the polka dot shape, so it can't be that. So I'm looking for another measurement that's left to right. That's up and down. Left to right. There's a 13 from left to right, and it stops right there. So it is 13. So I am going to pick up my red on this shape and just show that my first one is 13. So maybe we'll write it just a little bit smaller like this. Volume 1. Remember our stripes, volume 1 is going to be 13 inches times. Let's pick up our green and try to find our width. How wide is this shape? Remember, we're just looking at the stripes. Is there any measurement that shows front to back? That would be this measurement, this top corner to that back corner. There's no measurement there. And these ones don't help me, so I have to look at my other shape and find out, is there a measurement of this one that shows how wide the whole shape was? And there is. From front to back, it's this 4 right here. So this 4, we can outline this one in green also. It's going to be the width of that one. It's the same as that right there. So hopefully you can see that connection. They're the same width. So let's go ahead and put in our 4. And I'm going to scratch out this 16 because remember, it wasn't 16 at all. So anyway, I have the 4 for this striped shape, and that was my width. So I'm going to plug it in. 13 inches times 4 inches. And I'm looking for the height. These ones are always a little bit easier for me to find. I think the width is sometimes the hardest one to find. The height is right there on the stripe shape. It is 5 inches tall. So this is the formula for how I find the volume for the stripe shape. Length times width times height. I don't know 13 times 4 times 5, but I do know that I can do 20 times 13. So in this situation, I would do 13 times 20. And remember, anytime you times something by a number that ends in 0, you can just drop down the 0 and do 13 times 2, which is 26, but it had a 0. So the volume of our stripe shape is 260 inches cubed. I'm not done. That was only the stripe shape. So now I got to find volume 2. When I find volume 2, I'm looking at only the polka dots. And I already know my width, but let's go ahead and first try to find our length in red. How long is this shape from left to right? Well, I can see how tall it is. It's 8 inches. I can see how wide it is, but I have no measurement from left to right. So again, you're going to look for this measurement right here, left to right. You could also look for it right there up at the top, but let's just look right here because I think there's a number that's going to help us. I had scratched it out earlier. It might be important to erase that real quick. You're going to have to do that step number 2 on the math journal yesterday. You have to find the measurement. So this whole thing is 16. And then I need to take away the part that I chopped off of the 16, right? So you're trying to figure out how much did I take away when I chopped that off. So I'm going to look at these two numbers that they give me and try to make some good calculations. If this was 16, but just the stripe part was 13, then in your head you need to be thinking, well, then how much was the bottom part? The whole thing's 16. When I cut it off, the length became 13. So this is not 16, it is 13. So what is this missing piece? 13 plus what gives me 16? The answer is 3. So I finally found my length. That took me a while, but now I have all of my measurements. So on the volume 2, my length is 3 inches. My width, 4 inches. And my height I haven't outlined yet, but it's right there. How tall is my shape? 8 inches. So now you calculate the volume for that. You can do 12 times 8, which is what I'll do because that's pretty easy. 12 times 8 is 96 inches cubed. Now, You might be thinking, well, that's a lot of work and I feel like I should be done, but that's not correct. These are partial volumes. So in order to find the total volume, we need to add up both of the partial volumes. So just over here on the side, I'm going to add 260 plus 96. You should get 356. And then they're inches cubed because it's volume. That is my total volume. So number 2 on the quiz was a little tough. There's going to be one like this when you complete the Unit 8 review on Think Central today. So make sure that you do the simple ones with good calculations, and then when you get to these difficult ones, slow down, cut your shape up into 2 different prisms, find missing measurements, and go one step at a time, and you'll be just fine. I actually am going to pause this video and just start another one to do numbers 3, 4, and 5. So check out the next video.